Hi everyone, good morning guys. Welcome to our Friday weekly AMAS Ask Me Any Stock session. I think some of you have already joined us and you're early. Welcome, you guys. Just type a GM, type a GM for good morning. Let me know if this is working so that you can see your comments coming out. You can see me, you can hear me, you can see my screen as well. Just type a GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you today. Hi, we have John joining us today. Good morning, John. Hi, good morning as well. K Kong, hi, good to see you here as well. Hi, Chester, good morning. Raymond, hi, CELH is trending up. When is a good time to take profits? Well, I think some of you are already typing in the stocks that you like, right? That's good. Right? We will definitely come to that in a bit, right? But let me know if this is working, guys. We can see Vincent, hi, good morning as well. Stephen, John, welcome to our AMAS session, right? So, as the name of this session, right, sounds, right? Ask me any stocks. And today, right, we will be talking about the US market, right? The US market, because last Friday we did the Singapore. So if you have been following us since the beginning of the year, we have been running what we call the Friday weekly AMAS session, right? And we alternate between the Singapore market and the US market. So today, Friday is US. Next Friday, we'll be back to Singapore, right? So Singapore, US. That's how it works, right? So very quickly, we'll do a quick market outlook. We'll look at the S&P 500 index later and some of the happenings in the market. What are the factors that have affected the market? Are we more bullish? Can we see more upside? What are the key levels you want to take note of? Right, that's exactly what we'll cover. All right, on the markets, and after that, that's where we'll go ahead to dive into the stocks, right? The US stocks specifically that you guys are asking about. So I think some of you are already typing into the chat, right? The US stocks that you want a quick opinion on. So very good, right? You can do that, right? But what happens is that when you type the name of the US stocks, right? It could be Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, whatever, right? Give us a little bit of a context, right? Like who has given me this stock? Like Raymond, the first comment right at the top, CELH, right? When is a good time to take profits? So it seems like you already bought it, right? You want to take some profits. So a little bit of context. Are you looking to buy, to sell? You bought it last month, last year? I don't know, right? So give us a bit of context so that we can analyze it based on your context. I think it'll be much more value to you as well. Does it make sense? All right. Okay, so that's what will happen. We'll cover the US stocks that you guys want a quick opinion. And make sure you stay all the way to the end, guys, because today, right, I have my full team with me, Bervyn and Z, plus me, 3 of us, right? So at the end, we will share a total of 3 US stocks. So 1 times 3 is 3, right? So there's 3 US stocks at the end. Each of us like one. We'll share with you. You want to put in your watch list. We got some really good bullish signals on my indicator that could potentially be more upside, all right? And you want to know what these stocks are as well, right? But it's after going through the stocks that you guys want, all right? Okay, so good morning. Hi, good to see you as well. Amanda, very familiar names. Would it be okay, guys, if you help us to like and to share, right? Help us to like and share. I think there should be a button right at the top, right? Just help us to like and share so that we can reach out to more people as well. And of course, when we go live in the future as well, make sure you subscribe to there should be a bell icon at the top if you have not yet subscribed. I think that there should be a bell icon, right? So go ahead to hit the subscribe button if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel. We are live on Facebook as well, all right? So that's where when we go live, you will be alerted as well, all right? Okay, very good. So those of you who are just joining us, scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, you have no idea who I am. My name is Joey Choy, top-tier advisor, trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than a decade now. I'm also a trainer, all right? I do have some programs to kind of impart my one good trend strategy to my mentees and graduates. So if you want to find out a little bit more, you can attend one of those free webinars. I'll just get my team to place it in the chat, right? So the next one will probably be in July. So you can attend one of those free webinars to learn a little bit more about the entire strategy, all right? The entire strategy, when to know when to get in, when to get out, and before even getting and get out, what are the stocks that you want to even look at? How do you filter the top 1% of stocks to even think about getting in and out, right? I mean, it could be the top 1% of lousy stocks, then no point getting in and out on the lousy stocks, right? You want to get in and out on the top 1% of strong, right, striving kind of stocks. Does it make sense? All right, so you'll find a bit more on that, right? The strategy and all that. Attend one of those free webinars. The link is in the chat. I think we don't have any webinar next week or next week. I think probably next month. We do probably a few weeks from now. Right? We don't do this every other week. So that's a link to find out a bit more. Attend one of those free webinars. All right. Okay. So yep. Let's get started. Let's get started right now. And let me just go ahead to introduce to you my team as well. All right. My name is Joey Choy, as I mentioned. in the stock market for more than a decade. And, I pretty much focus on Singapore stocks, US stocks, Hong Kong stocks as well. That's my forte, right? That's my forte, right? And I have my team here with me as well. The first, we have Bervyn, all right? Bervyn has been with me, one of top brokers under me in Philips Securities as well, all right? Conducting our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one session with our mentees, and also assisting our team portfolio manager as well, all right? And Bervyn is what we call a CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst Holder, right? It is one of the highest qualification, right? One can never get in the banking and finance space, right? So Bervyn, maybe just add a few words. You can share a bit of yourself, or how you get that value today, Bervyn.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. All right, so very nice to see all those familiar names that we see every Friday. So I think most of you guys know that, yeah, every Friday we'll be doing an AMAS session. So I mean, this week we're going the US market. Next week we are covering the Singapore market. So I mean, do join us week after week. Just get a little bit more insight on those stocks that you are holding. What is the market outlook. So on a personal level, yeah. So like Joey said, I'm a chartered financial analyst, but simply said is I just enjoy looking at companies' fundamentals and the economy as a whole and how it affects individual stocks. So I hope today that I can give a little bit more value to you guys. So I mean, do help us out as well to hit the like and share button, and also subscribe to Joey's YouTube channel so you will be notified when we go live. All right, so I pass the time back to Joey to carry on the next introduction.
All right, thank you so much, Bervyn. So Bervyn, all right, is kind of an expert in anything fundamentals, balance sheet, income statement, whatever, right? That's where, very thankful to have him as well, right? To just give me the value add in terms of the fundamental perspective, right? But Bervyn is equally, all right, I would say very well versed in the entire one good trend strategy, which is pretty much what we will be using today, right? In terms of the indicator that I have, the one good trend pro indicator that I have as well to analyze your stocks. All right, so let me go to introduce another of my team member. All right, is Z. All right, Z has been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now. Also conducting our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one sessions, assisting our team's portfolio manager as well, managing a 7-figure portfolio. Right, and Z is what we call an expert in a little bit different, right? An expert in what we call technical analysis, anything to do with charts, you name it, candlestick, price action, indicators, whatever. Z is a chartered market technician. We call it CMT, one of the highest qualification, right? One can ever get in the TA, the technical analysis field, right? So Z, maybe just share a few words about yourself today.
All right, thanks, Joey. Hi, everybody. My name is Z. Glad to be back today. I think last week I was on a short break. But yeah, thanks, Joey, for the introduction. So I've been with Joey for about, I think, 4 close to 5 years now, and specializing in technical analysis. So basically, I like looking at charts, complementary to what Bervyn's specialization is, which is to look at the fundamentals of the company and the stocks, right? But I think our main goal here today is really to try to make things as simple as possible for you guys to actually digest and to understand, right? And that's how the 1GT Pro indicator later on, whereby you can see where we go through chart by chart, right, all the stocks that you guys would like us to give a quick opinion on. That's where you can also see some of the signals, right, with just a click of a button. And that's where we try not to overcomplicate things, right? Because the thing is that, life is already so tough. There's so many things that you got to make decision on. So why make it harder for yourself, right? So that's all about me. I'll just pass the time back over to Joey to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much. So I think you guys know us a little bit better, right? Thanks, Bervyn and Z, for joining me today as well. All right, so let's get started. Just a quick disclaimer, guys, the usual disclaimer that we share every time. This entire live show, all right, is just for education purposes only, all right? It's not to ask you to buy or sell anything, right? It's just really kind of to just share a little bit of our opinion based on my strategy. You want to find out more, you can attend the free webinar. All right, so quick disclaimer, all right, please do your own due diligence and homework as well. All right, okay, so let's get started right now. Let me just go to share my screen right now. And how many of you want me to just quickly cover the markets, maybe the S&P 500 index and maybe the Dow Jones? Just type an M for markets, guys. If you want me to cover what we call the markets, just type M for markets, right? Let me know as I go through, and kind of like, some of the stocks that you guys, I think a lot of you are already typing the stocks that you guys want a quick opinion. All right, let me see. But type M for markets first. Let me know, type M for markets if you want me to go through quickly the markets, right? So John, market as well. Hi, Jen, market as well. GN, Yo, market, M, Damien, M as well. Very good. Let's just go through the markets since a lot of you are asking about the markets, right? Where are we right now? Could it be more bullish? You want to be careful, right? Let's go to find out. So this is what we call the S&P S&P 500 index. So, every single live show, every Friday, I just want to cover the markets just to give you guys a bit of, understanding of where we are right now. So you can see that I've already turned on what we call my One Good Trend Pro indicator based on the bullish and bearish signal. That's what we do every Friday. So you can see that, I can turn it off, turn it on, and I would like to turn it on because, when I turn it on in a matter of seconds, it just gives me and my team and my graduates, my mentees, kind of like a quick opinion what to do in seconds. All right. So you can work for any asset classes, stocks, crypto, whatever, but even in the market, it can work as well, right? As long as there's a chart for it, there's data for it, turn it on, and there we go. So this is the S&P 500 index. So I mentioned, right, previously that, we had a couple of bearish signals, right? Two bearish signals coming out in February. That was even before the, April sweeping tariff that was announced by Trump. All right, that was even before. So you can see in February, right, we got two bearish signals. It starts going down and down. The short-term trend started to turn down. The longer-term trend, just by looking at the red and the blue line, you can see that it was a little bit from up to sideways, right? But obviously the trend in the short term was down, down, down. And we started selling down, down, down. I think all of you know, when Trump introduced the tariffs in April, the market sold off by like 5-6% in one day, right? That was one of the heaviest sell down that we've seen in a couple of years, right? After COVID. So that reversal actually came in, right? The reversal actually came in somewhere around end of April. We actually covered it as well. I think we even mentioned about this bullish signal, not last week or last month, since April already happened, right? And we started to see that reversal actually happen. So we got the first 1GT bullish signal coming out. Why? Well, because there was some ongoing discussions between the US and China, all right, de-escalations. When it happened, right, it got really, bad, right? Kind of like, it escalated between US and China. The tariffs went up to 145% and all that, right? But I think over the past one of a month, there were some trade talks with many other countries within the US and of course with China as well. I think last night there was announced there was kind of like a trade deal between US and China. They're still working on more deals between like the rare minerals that we send from China to US. And same thing, right? So it's kind of like de-escalated a little bit, right? So that's where the market started to rebound due to the cooling off of the trade tensions all the way beginning of May, all the way to now we are coming to the end of June already. So almost 2 months. Now you can see the short-term trend was turning up. And over the past few days, in fact, we are actually attempting to break this very key level. Let me just go to draw this resistance level for you, right? I think that level is very, very critical. I think I mentioned previously before, right? Just write it down, write it down. That would be the 6150, right? 6,150. I think that is pretty much a very key psychological resistance level. We were right here in December. We sold off. Same thing in January. We sold off. February. We couldn't take it. We sold down. Two bearish signals. We sold down. So 4 or 5 times we touched it since like about 7 to 8 months back, and we just came down. And you can see we are pretty much at 6141. Right, 6141, which is very near 6150. In fact, it's only like 9 points. What? I didn't know so near. Right? So we were very near the 6150. So that's where potentially, right, we may actually start to see some selling. But yesterday, I would say it's a pretty good bullish candle, right? Bullish candle. So I think all of you who have been following the news, right, apart from the trade tensions between US and China, right, over the past 1 to 2 weeks, there was some escalation between the Middle East, tension between Israel and Iran, right? Of course, US came into the picture as well. They kind of like launch what we call, I think, B-2 bombers into Iran's nuclear facilities, right? And when Trump announced that, it was like it completely obliterated all the nuclear facilities. But I think now currently they are kind of like, going back and saying that, maybe it's not completely obliterated. It's kind of like exaggerated a little bit, right? But overall, there was a little bit of uncertainty, right? A little bit of uncertainty between, Iran, US, and even in Israel as well. All right, so that's where we saw a bit of profit taking about 2 weeks back, came down, but the market rebounded because there are now, I would say, some ongoing, ceasefire. It's ongoing ceasefire. It's a 12-day. After a 12-day kind of war, firing missiles between Iran and Israel. That's a kind of like a ceasefire. So that's kind of a bit of a positive thing. Positive thing is still ongoing, the ceasefire. All right, it's still holding so far. Good. Thankfully, it holds. I think that could provide more certainty in the market. And hopefully, right, I think Iran and US, they're saying that they might want to resume talks again. Hopefully that happens and no escalation in the Middle East tensions. I think that would be a bullish thing, right? So I think yesterday, you can see that we have, as I say, approached the 6150, 6141. So I think it's a very critical level. All right, it seems to be very bullish as we are attempting to head towards that psychological resistance level. All right, I don't know whether we can break tonight, all right, or maybe next week. But if we can go above 6150, or maybe a bit more allowance, like 6,200, all right, I think that could be an indication, right, that we could potentially start to see more upside momentum. It will be a retest of this, December, January, Feb, March kind of levels where we sold off, but now it's sellers have given way. It could be a new phase up. All right, new phase up, especially if we can break the 6150, or maybe to give a bit of allowance, the 6,200, and we may even see what we call a new 1 GT bullish signal coming out, right? It hasn't come out yet, but if it happens, that's where we will be alerted, because I can set an alert on this. That's where I think it could be more bullish. All right, so let's take note. 6150, 6002, these are all very critical levels. We are definitely watching these levels. Alerts have been set. That could really provide a new phase for the entire markets, right? Especially if things cool off, right, in terms of the Middle East war. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Let's take a look at maybe what we call the Dow Jones, right? So one of very popular index. You can see same thing over here. I'll not go too far. You can see the longer term trend is up. We got a couple of like bullish 1 GT signal, bearish one, starts coming down, bullish reversal happen. All right, every time we get a bullish signal, there we go, right? Same thing, a bearish signal in February. There we go, down. You want to be careful. So, based on this 1 GT bullish indicator that I have, and my team has as well, right? It just guides us very quickly on, should we even think of buying? I mean, especially if you see a bearish signal like this thing over here in February, you probably don't want to rush to buy. Why? Because, I mean, we could see more weakness in the short term. Does it make sense? So why not wait for some signs of a reversal and then you think about getting in, right? So you can see a reversal signal has came out, the 1 GT bullish signal. We started to rebound. In fact, yesterday again, not too bad. All right, this is a pretty key resistance level. All right, very good. Right, I think this last week or something, we were below the 43,000. All right, below the 43,000. Look at this, right over here. We touch. Right over here, right here, we touch, we came back down, a bearish candle, same thing, touch, came back down, touch, came back down. But yesterday, never come back down, right? Yesterday, we managed to go above and stay above the 43,000. Now it's what? 43,386. So that is, I would say, a good sign of potentially more upside as we might push towards the critical, write it down, right? Critical 45,000 level, right? That could be the upside right now, right? That could be the upside 43 to 45, as long as the market, the Dow Jones stay above 43. So we're looking a bit more bullish, right? This bullish signal is still in play. Short-term trend is pointing up. Longer-term trend, you can see it was like up to sideways, but I think potentially if we hold above 43 or maybe even break 45, we could start to see the beginning of the uptrend in the longer term as well. All right, so definitely more bullish, I would say. I mean, since April, as I mentioned, we have been a bit more bullish. Now with tensions cooling between Israel and Iran, all right, a bit of a ceasefire and stuff, that would be a bit of more positive sentiment coming back to the market. And so when people are starting to come back in again, right, we could even push higher. All right, so this is the Dow Jones, right? So how many of you are a bit clearer about the market, right? This type of C for clearer, guys. If you are a little bit clearer on the market before we go into the stocks that you guys are asking about. So let me just type a C for clear. Let me know if you're clear. All right. Clear. Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to the second part of today's session, which is very quickly, all right, to go ahead to analyze the stock that you guys want a quick opinion on. So I think some of you, a lot of you have already typed the US stocks that you want a quick opinion on. So very good. Let me just go through it very quickly. Those of you who have not yet, type it in the chat. We will go ahead to analyze them live round robin style. I'll go first. I'll pass the mic to Bervyn and then Z will pass it back to me. So we just go very quickly, all right? Maybe 1-2 minutes per stock. Then we move on. We try to cover at least 15 to 20 US stocks. And at the end, we'll share with you 3 US stocks you can put in your watch list, all right? So very good. So go to type the name of the US stocks that you want, the name and the code. Give us a bit of context as I mentioned as well, right? So let me see what I can cover for the very, very first stock today, right? Okay, let me just go ahead to cover, let me just choose one, right? Damien. Philip Morris International. I bought at around $180. Okay, very good. What's the outlook like for this stock? So you bought it, all right, and thinking maybe whether should sell or should keep or should maybe buy some more, all right? Let's find out. Philip Morris, PHILL. Okay, Philip Morris, sorry, MORRRIS, PM, right? I think the code will be PM. Let's take a look at Philip Morris right now. Wow, pretty good, right? So this is PM, Philip Morris. Damien, I hope you are still here. You bought at about 180, whereby I would say now the price is 180. Oh, okay, so you probably bought it over the past 1 to 2 weeks, right? You bought it over the past 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, pretty good. Now it's 180.66, so still okay. I would say that very quickly, right? Philip Morris is definitely in a longer term uptrend just by looking at what we call the 100 days moving average, the red line, and the 200 days moving average. It has been in a longer term uptrend since 2024, right? April 2024, last year. Look at this, right? Red above the blue, both going up, all right? In the short term, we could see weakness, we could see selling, even a bearish signal, right? And it starts coming down. Bearish signal, it starts coming down, right? But every time we get a new 1 GT bullish signal, when we are alerted to it, there we go all the way up. Same thing over here, a 1 GT bullish signal coming out at the beginning of 2025. And there we go all the way up. 28%, 2 months, all right? A 1 GT bearish signal, or April, that would be 4th of April. So 4th April, right? Everything sold off because Trump announced the reciprocal tariffs, right? So we got a 1 GT bearish signal, right? It happens, right? Because super volatile, everything sold off. Even a pretty defensive company like this sold off as well, all right? For a week, but you can see after that, 2-3 weeks later, we got a new 1 GT bullish signal, and the green 20 days moving average line started to turn up as well regarding the short-term trend. Bouncing back up as well. So I think right now, the longer term trend is up. The short term trend based on the green line, well, it has started to turn from up to a bit of a sideways. I mean, look at the green line. It's a bit of a sideways movement. So I think still okay. If I can quickly turn on what we call the one good trend pro indicator, all right, based on the very powerful feature that we have, right? The trailing support and resistance. Let me just turn it on and show you what I mean, right? So you can see that this trailing support and resistance, right? We call it a trailing support because as the name sounds, right, it follows and trails prices as it moves higher, and it gives the stock space to breathe, give it allowance, right? You don't want to follow too closely. It accounts for volatility. You can see right over here, we sold off. We are kind of like still above it, and we push away from it, right? And you can see as it moves up, this trailing support started to follow it up even more. Look at that, flat up, follow. So now this trailing support is somewhere around 175. Are we above it? I think we're still above it. There's still some space between it, but overall, I think it still looks pretty okay. Just that we're seeing a bit of a profit taking, maybe a bit of a resistance around this 188, a bit of a horizontal support level, maybe coming out around 176, 178. I think that could be where we have seen some bargain hunting rebounded over the past 1 month. That's where we might see some bargain hunting. So that is kind of like the horizontal support level. Anything I would say near the 178, some bargain hunting can come back again. If you want to take into account the allowance space, that I would say the 175, that would be where the trailing support is. As long as we are above it, I think it still looks pretty bullish. Right, so still okay. I think this is one of the stocks to buy. We got a 1 GT bullish signal. Back to your question, what's the outlook like for this stock? I think I'm pretty bullish. All right, if it breaks the 188, we might even see a new bullish signal. Targets could be revised even higher, all the way to 200 as well. Right, so one of the stocks that we're definitely more bullish. Nothing too worried for now, as long as you stay above the 175 or even 178 support levels. All right, so that is Philip Morris. David, I hope you have a better understanding of Philip Morris. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock. Bervyn.
Thanks, Joey. All right. Okay, so let's just go down the list. Okay, so I think right here, Palesh. Good morning, Palesh. I'd like to analyze Accenture, stock code ACN. Is it a good time to enter? Just let me throw it up on the screen right now. Okay, so right here we have Accenture. Okay, so I think just on a quick glance, I think the first 3 things that we can spot is 1 GT bearish signals. Okay, we got 1 bullish signal right here that was quickly exited with a 1 GT bearish signal. So just by having this 1 GT bearish indicator, I think it gives you a good idea on where the potential trend could be heading. So I think in the nearer term, obviously we see a little bit of a weakness coming in as prices broke below that $300 psychological support, not being able to actually break above it just yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 days, 5 days trading under it already. Right, came close, tested it, but it seems like sellers are still pretty much in control, still being held under the $300 psychological level. Perhaps we may see a little bit of a consolidation first, Palash, right? So I'm not too sure what is your plan. Not too sure what is your plan, but we can see a little bit of a support right around that 1275 level. That 275 level could pose as a temporary support because prices have rebounded from it a couple of times, sometime in April and once again 5 days ago as well. But the moving averages are still looking not looking too good, as it's mostly pointing down, and the 20 days moving average is also pointing down. So I think Palash, if you're looking to get in, we usually tend not to want to get in a downtrend, especially if that longer term downtrend is still pretty much intact. Don't want to trade against the trend, don't want to ride against the wave. You want to ride with the wave itself. Yeah. So I think in this case, you perhaps want to maybe just wait a little bit. Right. So just now Joey had shown you the trailing support. All right. So in a downtrend, what you can spot is a trailing resistance instead. All right, trailing resistance, a ceiling for the prices. So if prices are not able to break above that ceiling, do you think it can go higher? Unlikely lah. Yeah. So the first thing first, I think we gotta watch out for if that trailing resistance finally gives way or is able to give way. So I think first level to watch out for, I think perhaps you may want to set an alert just above that $300 level, just to see if prices are able to break above that 300 level, and then one just maybe slightly above 314, maybe 315 is another alert you can set out. Why? It is then when prices or that 20 days moving average will then start to flatten out as prices move higher. Right, that 100 days moving average will then also flatten out and point up alongside that 200 days moving average. Then yes, there could be a potential reversal, that could play out. But if you are already currently entering, already have some positions and you're intending to average down, then I don't think it is the right time to average down. You may want to look out for your downside as well. Yeah. So if prices are able to break above that trailing resistance, perhaps another 1GT bullish signal could come in, as a potential reversal play. Yes, then I think then that would be a good entry. But I think the upside, I think if prices break that $300 level, would be up to that 325 or perhaps even that 330 level first, before potentially heading back to where it came from at about the 350 to 360 level. These are the two key levels to actually watch out for. Be a little bit more careful if that 275 level is also broken, because potentially it could head downwards further as well. So we can do a projection downwards. So let me get this projection down here. Right, so in that case, yes, about that 250 could be the next level to watch out for. That 275 is broken as well. All right, so that is a very quick one for Accenture. Now I'll pass the time to Z to cover the next US stock for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so I think I was looking through the chat and I saw a couple of you guys were asking about this particular stock, which is Micron Technology, right? So I saw Emily asking, now it's trading at 126, right? And then is 130 or beyond to come anytime soon. And I saw also Kunaf, right? Kunaf is also asking, you have Micron, can you actually hold or sell, right? So let's take a look at this stock right now. Okay, so for Micron, first thing first, when we take a look at the stock, right, we take a look at the trend, right? So when we take a look at the trend, we just focus on the moving average, and very, very clearly that, right now we do have some short-term strength, right? How can we tell that we have short-term strength? The 20 days moving average, as you can see right over here, the green line is actually pointing up very steeply, right? Ever since it actually rebounded from the lows in April at this, $60 psychological support level right over here, right? And the short-term strength is actually still heading up. And price, yes, it actually closed at 126 as of last night, right? As of last night. But if you take a look at the longer-term trend, the 20 days, the 100 days and the 200 days moving average, which is this red and the blue line here, they are also showing signs of it starting to point up, right? it is also showing some positive signs that it is actually starting to point up. So that is actually a good thing, right? That's a good thing. And the next thing we want to take note of are some of the horizontal support and resistance level, because that is where we want to know where are some buyers coming to come back in to support the prices, or perhaps where are some of the levels that, you know, selling pressure could actually return, right? Those are some of the levels that we want to take note of. So very clearly, if we take a look at the immediate support and immediate resistance, one of the immediate support that we want to take note of the level, right, would be around this 110, right? This, I would say, this would be one of the immediate support, because why? Back in, you know, August all the way to June, right over here, this 10 months, we can see that, you know, price has been kept below this 110 psychological resistance until somewhere in June, it actually broke above, right, this 110. So I would say 110 is one of the key psychological support and immediate psychological support, I would say, to actually take note of, right? And in terms of the resistance wise, right over here, currently, I would say price is actually testing the 130 psychological resistance, right? Why? Because back in April, right over here, we can see price actually touch this 130, selling pressure came back down, we get a 1GT bearish signal. Same thing here, until it break above, came back down, retested, and then subsequently it continued to push even lower, right? So I would say right now, price is actually testing the 130, and I would not be surprised as of yesterday's candlestick, right? Because what we can actually see, if I were to zoom in, is that, you know, profit taking actually indeed came back like at this 130, right? We can see that, you know, price actually opened very close to 130, and then it actually closed much lower than it actually opened, right? So there is nothing wrong, I would say, for Kunaf, right? Especially so if you have Micron, there is nothing wrong for you to take some profits, especially when it is near a resistance level, right over here. There's nothing wrong to take some profits, right? Because I'm not too sure when you actually, you know, got into Micron, what's your average cost price, but I would like to say there's nothing wrong for you to take profits near the resistance, right? So if prices is actually able to break and hold above the 130, right, very likely what we would see is that, you know, this red line, the 100 days moving average, can potentially cross above the 200 days moving average, and that is what we want to see in a stronger uptrend, right? Because ideally, what we want to see in the moving average is this, right? Green above the red, above the blue. But at this point in time, not yet, right? Not yet. We are still seeing that the red is actually attempting, right, to potentially, hopefully, can cross over the blue line, which is a 200 days moving average. And if that actually happens, when price actually cross and manage to hold firmly above the 130, potential upside targets that we are looking at would be, you know, close to about 157, right? Because why? This was back when the high that we actually seen back in June last year, right? Back in June last year, before, you know, we see 1GT bearish signal and selling pressure came back in to push price all the way back down. So I would say for now, perhaps what we can potentially do is to, you know, to set some alerts, right? Especially above the 130 as well, to see whether new price can actually break and hold above the 130. Not just break only, but must break and hold above the 130 before we can actually see more potential upside back to this counter. Okay, so that would be for Micron. I will pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the very good next stock. All right, and I will say this is one of the very popular stock as well, and that would be Nvidia. All right, the code is NVDA. I think a couple of you asking about Nvidia, one of the most popular AI tech stocks that's in play in the US market. So let me go ahead to see who is asking about it. I think we have SL Pan, right? I feel I missed the best time to invest in Nvidia, Palantir, and AMD. Now prices are high. Should I still buy? So Nvidia over there. All right, Nvidia. I think we have another one of you asking about Nvidia as well. John, Nvidia at an all-time high. Is it really an all-time high? Let's find out, right? What is the next target? Right? What's the next target? So very good. Let me go ahead to talk about Nvidia right now. $155. So this is Nvidia. You can see that I've not yet turned on the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So as I say, right, any stocks, any asset classes, in a matter of seconds, 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go, right? We have bullish and bearish signals coming out from a One Good Trend strategy. Look at this, right? Couple of good bullish signals, two bullish signals, pop, all the way up, bullish signals all the way up. But when you get bearish signals coming out, not one, not two, but 3 or 4 coming out since January, the beginning of the year, you want to be careful. So, right, you can see we started trading down from 150 all the way to about 110. all the way to about 150. So you want to be careful, you want to be patient, you don't want to rush to get in, right? You want to wait for a new confirmation to get back in, right? And some of you might ask, hey, what is the confirmation? Well, you want to wait for the trend to turn back up at least in the short term, right? Just by looking at the green 20 days moving average line was going down, down, down. Not 1 month, not 2 months, but for 4, 5, 6 months, right? And it starts to reverse back up. That would be a very good confirmation that the trend has started to reverse up. But that is just one confirmation, right? We need more confirmation to seal in that move, right? So we want to wait for a 1 GT bullish signal coming out, right, from my indicator. So yes, came out. I think we have talked about this as well, this stock, right? So a 1 GT bullish signal have came up somewhere around May. I would say almost 2 months now, not just last week. So it came out, right? It's gone up from like about 110 to $155, right? The question is that can it still head up even more? All right, so let's find out right now. I would say that we have breached this very key resistance at about 150. Look at this, right? Let's just go back to where we were all the way in December, January. You could see that it's a very key psychological resistance level. Bearish candlestick bars coming out right over here. You can see we attempted to go above it, came back down, bearish candlestick bars. Sellers just coming out again and again to defend this price level, the 150 psychological resistance level. We just couldn't close above it. Look at this, right? We actually attempted to go above, right? But sellers, at the end of the day, they regain back control and they push it back down, all right? So you are still below it, right? For I would say 7 to 8 months now since November, right? So very critical resistance level, right? But the key here is that, it's a very key resistance, right? We have seen bearish candles, we have seen selling there in November all the way to January, right? So we should see selling as we approach there again. But what happens over the past 1 week, over the past few days? Wow, it seems like we not only never see selling coming back, but we actually saw a pretty bullish candlestick coming out on this day, and that would be on Wednesday evening, right? Wednesday evening, we saw a very good bullish candle. This is what we call something like a bullish Marubozu pattern, right? One whereby, it just offers a lot of strength, very green, low, no, I would say higher upper shadow and lower shadow. It opens, buyers was in control, pushes all the way, and it closes somewhere at the day high. So a pretty good bullish candle. And the fact is that it happens right at the 150 level that I talked about, whereby we saw selling not 1, 2, but 3, 4 times since November. Does it make sense? So this means we have kind of breached that resistance. It's like we were capped below it for like 8 months, but finally the sellers gave up. It's like, okay, you can go now, right? And then the buyers regain control and we close above 150. So that to me is a pretty good sign, right? That there is a lot of strength coming back, right? It's a lot of strength coming back, or we have breached a very key resistance level. So as long as we stay above it, so of course, you don't want to breach and then come back down the next day or what, then of course not counted, right? You want to breach, you want to stay above it, you want that to be a new support level. So for me right now, I think that as long as we stay above, so let me just turn this red line to green in color, because that psychological resistance would now be what we call a psychological support level. So I think yesterday was like 155, right? We're still above it, right? Thankfully, we're still above it. It's only like 1, 2 days, but at least we are above it. We never come back down below it, right? So I think that is a good sign. As long as you stay above 150, pretty good upside targets could be revived. So back to your question, John, what is the next target? Is it 200, 300, 150? Not 150. Now we're 155. Is it like 180, right? Let's find out how could we project. So what we could do is that we could actually look at the past, right? And see if there are any previous high previously whereby selling actually came back. But if you look at the past, there's nothing, right? Why? Because we are already at an all-time high. Now, nothing in the past. You are the highest already, right? You are like Mount Everest. You look down at like Bukit Timah Hill. You're the highest already, right? So you need to what we call do a bit of projection. So how we can do it is like over here, all right, I would say that we are pretty much consolidating in a kind of like a $20 range, right? 130 to 150, even over here as well. I can see a bit of a consolidation, $20 range as well. So I think we could kind of like project it from maybe 150. I would say a very near-term resistance could be anything from 170 to 180, right? Not saying that you will surely hit there, but that is where potentially based on the consolidation that we have seen over the past 5 to 6 months, right? That could be potentially where some selling might come back again, and they might just see a bit of a profit taking again, consolidate. And if it breaks 170 or even 180, targets could be revised higher. So I think looks not too bad. Looks not too bad. Anything above 150 with this one GT, as I say, this one GT bullish signal is still in play. All right, the short-term trend is still turning up. The red and the blue line is sideways, but you can see, right, as long as we stay above 150, right, I can tell you guys, this blue line will gradually slope up. Let me show you what I mean, right? It'll be like that, right? Something like this. And this 100 days moving average line, we want it to be above, right? So it might slowly slope up again. And that is where, if we stay above 150 or maybe even above 170, the red goes above the blue. Back to what we've seen previously in 2023, 2024, red above the blue, both pointing up. If that happens, right, this is what I draw out, right? But if that happens, I think that would be another confirmation that the longer term trend has turned from a bit of sideways back to up. All right, so that is NVDA. So very quickly, I can turn on what we call the trailing support as well. You can see another confirmation of based on this 1GT bullish signal. Trailing support has popped up. Follow. We are obviously still above this trailing support, which accounts for the space, and that will be around 142. All right, so yeah, we're still above 150 or maybe even 142. Still looks pretty okay. All right, so that's NVIDIA. All right, let me pass on the mic back to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
Thanks, Joey. Yes, definitely NVIDIA one to watch out for as well. Okay, so I think the next one I want to cover is, I think K Hong is asking, Sofi, think of buying. So Sofi, I believe you are referring to Sofi Technologies. The stock code is exactly that, SOFI. Okay, this is one of those fintech technology companies, mainly dealing in pretty much like a digital bank like that. Yeah. So I think most recent days, what I've heard is they have partake in a little bit of stable coin transactions, so they're heading towards that direction. I think the share price have started to reflect that as well. A lot of bullish sentiments coming out here, as we can see very clearly. 4-1 GT bullish signals are not one, not two, it's four. 4-1 GT bullish signals and prices have rebounded very clearly from that April low as well. From then to now, let's just use that 1 GT bullish signal right here. Now there is a solid 30% upside as of yesterday's close already. But could that prices head higher? I think K Hong, that is what you are thinking. I think the immediate resistance, I think, would be at that all-time high around that $18 level. The $18 level, I think, is one level to very clearly watch out for as well. So that 20 days moving average is sloping up, so that nearer term momentum is still currently present, I would say. But we could expect a similar situation, as prices head towards the $18 level. Completely okay for some sellers to come in. Why? It's because it's close to a resistance. Sellers want to sell close to a resistance. Some people's targets will be hit at the $18 level. So definitely some people want to get out as well. So I think buying immediately right up to now, you may potentially face a situation where prices approach the $18 and starts to head back down to your cost price again. So I think in this situation, as prices are going towards the $18, potentially you may want to wait for either a breakout. All right, a breakout, that means prices heading up higher, consolidating under the $18 and breaking above, causing the $18 to be a new support level. Or alternatively, as we can expect a little bit of a buy, sellers to actually come in, prices may retrace downward. To what level? I think to a support level around that $15 level. So that $15 level right here, prices previously have rebounded from this level a couple of times. Previously was a resistance and now turned into a support. So a buy zone could be seen, about that 15 to maybe about that 1550 level. That's where you can expect a little bit of a buyers to come back in, especially if the momentum is still present, or the interest is still present, and of course if the 1 GT bullish signals are still valid. As of right now, still valid just yet, don't have any bearish signals coming in, signaling that could be nearer term weakness. But if prices break above the $18, perhaps we may see a fifth 1 GT bullish signal just show up if that level is also broken. So I think next, what you want to watch out for would be that trailing support. Can see that, as prices are heading higher, that trailing support definitely will follow and head higher. That is why it's called trailing support, right? It has taken into account the volatility of the stock. All right, so if you have gotten in, or if you are thinking of getting in close to that $15 level, definitely use that trailing support as a stop limit level. stop limit level or stop loss level. Depending if you're protecting profit, then you will use a stop. You call it a stop limit lah. Yeah, so just in case prices hit down lower, you may want to place your stop limit orders just below that trailing support to protect your downside a little bit. All right, so I think for Sofi so far looking good, still looking good. Maybe we're a little bit of a no man's land right now. Two levels to just take note of. I think Kay Hong, if you have access to the 1GT bullish 1GT signals, you may want to just set up an alert right here using the 1GT bullish signal right here. You can set a buy or sell alert. So if there is any new 1GT bullish signals that actually show up for Sofi, you will also be alerted. All right. So I think for those of you who are looking to get that 1GT signals coming into your trading view charts, and you want to just test it out. All right. Joey, I think also has very kindly provided a trial for everyone here to use his 1GT light indicator, 1GT light indicator, which means what? There will be no trailing support. But however, I think by just 1GT bullish signals or bearish signals coming in can give you a very indication on where the potential trend is heading. So I think can I get maybe just Z's help to just place that light indicator into the chat? Yes, so it's just right there. So I can just check it out as well. So I think Kay Hong, that is for Sofi Technologies. Just monitor for a little bit longer. All right, so passing the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
Maybe I can just add on a little bit first. All right. Yeah. So back to what Bervyn has mentioned as well. All right. If you guys want to test drive what we call the one good trend light indicator, right, for free, right? The link is right in the chat. So basically, this 1GT light indicator, as I mentioned, right, in the matter of seconds for any stocks, any asset classes. Now we are talking about US stocks, but it works for Singapore stocks, Hong Kong stocks, any asset classes, right? Turn it on in the matter of seconds. You can see the bullish and bearish signals. If you see bearish signals, you might want to be careful. You don't want to rush to get in, right? If you see, bullish signals coming out, that could guide you to think about getting in again, right? So this bullish and bearish signals can just give you a bit of an opinion, what to do, whether to buy or sell or to wait. Test it out. The link is in the chat. Test drive the one good trend light indicator, right? So some of you might be a little bit confused, right? Because all this while, when we are kind of like doing our analysis, we are using the 1GT Pro indicator. So what's the difference between the Pro and the light? Well, essentially, the light is a simpler version. It just consists of the bullish and bearish signals. There's no other advanced stuff like some of the other features that we're using. It's pretty much just the bullish and bearish signals. But we allow you to test it out for free. All right. The link is right in the chat. All right, great. Z, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think I'll be covering the next stock, and it's called AVAV, right? And that's by Evelyn. Hi, Evelyn. I hope you are still here. So actually, I am looking at this stock, right? Actually, to be very honest, I don't really know what this stock do. I just take a quick look, and how do I do that? Is okay. I just turn this on, and I see, oh, okay, it's in the aerospace and defense industry. It's a large cap company, right? More than 10 billion, 12.43 billion. And then I see, suddenly there's a very big gap over the past 2 days. No wonder you're asking whether is it a good time to go in. But let's take a look at this stock, right? Because I think what is causing this very large gap, right? If I just take a look down here, probably it is due to the positive earnings, as you can see over here. I've not really deep dive into this stock, but usually for Joey and us, what we believe in is that, the market will actually absorb all the news and everything that's happening in the market, and it will actually reflect in the prices. So that is what we are seeing right now, right? And as of yesterday, price actually closed at 272.37. So now you are thinking, wow, this stock actually looked pretty good, right? Over the past 2 days, there's very bullish price action, and is it time for us to actually enter? So let's take a look first. First thing first, same thing, always go back to the basic. I always look at the trend. Right, short-term trend looks pretty decent, has been going up since April, since the dip, right? And longer-term trend, I would say it is okay. It's not fantastic, but it's okay, because what we are seeing is that, the longer-term trend has started to move sideways, especially the 200 days. So at least it is not going down, right? And then the 100 days moving average has shown a little bit, right? Just a tiny bit that it is starting to point up, right? It's starting to point up. And we also do have a 1GT bullish signal coming out on this day, which is 9th of April, right over here. And if we take a look at the support level, right, because when you think about buying, you want to think about buying when it's near a support, right? So that's the reason why we need to know where our support levels are. And if we take a look at this, previously, before the price actually, get up and shot all the way up to 270 plus, where is the resistance, right? And when we take a look at resistance, you want to see which level has been touched the most, because if let's say the points that has been touched the most at the specific level, that's where we want to give more weight to that level, right? And right over here, I would say, I think one of the immediate resistance previously, right, is at this 240, right? Because right over here, back in June 2024, we see prices nearly, it didn't even touch, it's nearly, and then we got a 1GT bearish signal coming out. Prices retraced, came back down, buying pressure came back in to push all the way back up again. And somewhere in November, it actually tested it once more, right? And I would say 240 would be one of the immediate support that we want to take note of, right? And we are thinking about buying, right? When we are thinking about buying, we want to buy near a support level. So at this point in time, price have obviously shot up and is way above the immediate support, right? So I would say for Evelyn, a lot of times when we speak to some of our clients, some of them, when they see such price actions, they might be a bit kanchiong and they might want to chase the stock. And usually that is what we don't advise clients to do, because we don't chase a stock, right? Because sometimes when you chase a stock, your emotions get in the way, and then you might be a bit kanchiong and you don't really know what to do. So we don't chase a stock, right? And what we want to do is we want to be patient, right? We want to be patient. So now we know that the support level is at about 240, right? 240. So let me just change this to red. Change this to green, right? Because green near a support level, this could be one of the potential buy zones that we can potentially look at, right? And one way to set alert for yourself is we can actually set a price alert, right? I just right click, add alert, and maybe let me just set the price alert at, let's say, 250, right? 250, so that I want to be alerted every time when the price actually reach back to the 250, which is the potential buy zone that I have actually indicated right over here, right? And if let's say prices, is able to continue to hold above this 240, great, right? There could potentially be more upside to this counter. And where could that be, right? I think because if you take a look back, right, if I scroll all the way back, right now, we don't see, price is at an all-time high, right? Because price now is 272. Previously, it never ever reached this level, right? So price is currently at all-time high. How do we actually do a projection, right? One way we can take a look at it is we take a look at the psychological numbers, which is 300. So I would say 300 would be one of the psychological resistance, right? That potentially some selling pressure could actually return. So as long as price is holding above the 240, I would think it's okay. Best is, we are able to see some stabilizations first, because of the fact that, earning result just came out, and, sometimes euphoria might come in, people might, just be a bit more emotional. So what we want to see is price being able to hold above 240 first, before thinking about taking any further actions. And potential upside targets, like I mentioned, as long as 240 holds, potential upside that we can potentially look at would be to the $300 psychological level. Okay, so that would be for AVAV. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, very good analysis. Let me move on to the next one. And that will be the very first stock that was asked, right, by Raymond. Raymond, let me know, Raymond, if you're still here, this type of Y for yes, if you are still here right now. That's the very, very first stock that I mentioned that I'll cover. So just want to go ahead to cover this stock called CELH, right? Celsius Holdings. The code is CELH. Let me know if you are still here, Raymond. Let me just go ahead to do it. So you can see that for Celsius Holding, right, I've quickly turned on the 1GT Pro indicator. All right, I had a couple of bullish signals coming out. I'll not go too far. You can see bullish signals coming out in 2024. There we go. Bearish signals coming out, and you want to be careful. All right, you don't want to buy not one but two bearish signals. Look at this, right? Bearish signals, and it went down from $90 all the way to $30, 60 over dollars down, right? You dare to buy. Don't buy, like as I say, right? If you get a bearish signal, the trend turns down in the short term, you want to be careful. So let's see what has happened over the past 2 to 3 months. So I would say that there are definitely, right, some signs of a reversal in the making. Let me show you why I say that. So you can see right over here, right? After the bearish signals coming out since like May last year, more than a year back, right? It has been going down down. A few more bearish signal, it starts going down more and more. But since February, March, what we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish signals coming out. Not 1, not 2, but at least 4 or 5 bullish signals coming out. And definitely you can see that the trend has started to turn up. The green 20 days moving average line has turned up as well. All right, flat. I think right now it is still starting to slope up a little bit. That would be the short-term trend. In terms of the longer-term trend, you can see that right over here, 100 days moving average went below the 200 days moving average. So when the red goes below the blue and on both points down, not good, right? Longer-term trend is down, not good. Over the past 1 month, finally, right? Finally, red has gone back above the blue, even though both of them have not really pointed back up yet, but I would say there are definitely some signs of it sloping gradually back up, right? So if the red and blue, I think in fact, yeah, look at this, red sloping up, blue slightly sloping up. So at the very beginning stage of a longer term reversal, so it could be, right? It could be pretty much back to where we were previously. So look at this. I mean, that was where we were in like $100. So that was where we touched double top. We touch, pump, came down since last year. So 100 could be where we might approach. I mean, not straight away, but gradually as we push up. Right over here, there would be another resistance level. It was a support that we broke down from as well, somewhere over the $70. Look at this, right? Rebounded, support, pump, bearish signal. There we go. So 70 all the way to 100. Let me see if there's another resistance level. Well, I would say the $50, definitely a little bit of a support, rebounded here. You can see we broke down and went all the way down as well. So $50, now we're at $45. So I think $50 is where potentially some selling pressure can come back. Again, we are 45.42. So yeah, a bit of profit taking near 50. I think that's fine. But the key here is that if we can break the 50, all right, if it goes to 51 or 52 or 53, right, I can tell you guys, all these bullish signals could still be in play. All right, it could still be in play. We have came out right here when it was about $30 over dollars, $25. But you can see now we are almost double a rate. I mean, let me just show you, right? So from here, 98%, guys, from the very first bullish signal, 98% in about 4 to 5 months. All right, so we have almost doubled it, but can it still hit even higher? Why not? I think if we can break the $50, more upside can actually happen. All right, more upside can actually happen. Support wise, if I can draw it for you, anything above the $40. So I think $40, look at this, right? 40 was where we actually saw some resistance, right? All the way from March to May, because it came down. But finally, all right, 9th of June, about 2 weeks back, we went above the $40 and started to gradually push up. The green line also started to slope up. So not too bad. Anything above 40, I think it looks pretty good. Uptrend is firmly intact in the long term. In the short term, if I can quickly turn on the trailing support that has been following it since like February, you can see it is right over here as well, very near the $40. So anything above like 38 to 40, I think it looks pretty bullish, right? You can set some alerts, Raymond, especially if it breaks the $50, targets could be revised even higher. So if you're talking about taking profits, well, I don't know what price you bought, but if it's 100% increase, like 98%, right? Nothing wrong to take some profit near 50, all right? You want to take some profit near 48, 47, 49, 46, up to you. Nothing wrong. Take half, take 1/3, up to you. Nothing wrong. But for me, I think, I'm looking at a little bit more bullishness coming back, especially if the $50 psychological resistance gives way as well. And that's where I think I will set an alert to remind me as well. All right, so that is Celsius holding. Bullish signals playing out 98% in about 4 to 5 months. All right, Bervyn, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. All right, so I think the next one, I think SL is asking and thinking of buying Salesforce. Is it the right time to do so? All right, okay, let me just throw Salesforce up onto the screen. Right here, we have Salesforce. The stock code is CRM. Okay, I think in the most recent days, you actually see 2 1GT bearish signals actually came in. Prices actually fell. Right, fell from its high close to $360 all the way to its recent low about $240. And right now it looks like we are moving a little bit sideways. As you can see, that 200 days moving average looks a little bit flat, but then the 100 days and 20-day moving average, all right, as well, is currently pointing down. Right, currently pointing down. I think you do not want to rush in just yet. All right, because there is also another 1GT bearish signal. So maybe it could benefit from being a little bit patient, maybe to just see if prices are able to push back towards or push and break above that $300 psychological level first. All right, but we have seen that prices have rebounded from that 240 level. 240 level still looking good as a support, still being respected pretty much by the market so far. So I think in the nearer term, we are a little bit of no man's land because some may have bought at 240 already and may look to take some profits at 300. And getting in right now could be a little bit hasty. So we would benefit if that 20 days moving average starts to flatten out and then point up, moving alongside those prices. So if we were to just turn on very quickly that trailing support and resistance, you can see that there is currently a trailing resistance that is heading down, right? Heading down as prices started to head down as it approached that $300 level previously. If we are able to break above that trailing resistance around that 280 level, I think another 1GT bullish signal could come in. And if that 20 days moving average is pointing up and we have that breakout, I think yes, definitely this could be a breakout strategy. But like I think Z had mentioned as well, for a breakout strategy, you also want to be a little bit more cautious, having a tighter stop loss just below that support. If you buy above that 300 level, would be an ideal situation as well, so that you do not get caught. If it's a forced breakout, you can very quickly get out of that position without taking much losses. If the $300 level gives way, I think previously I have drawn already that upside to that 360 level would be possible, then maybe that longer term uptrend from previously could resume as well. So I think that is a very quick one for Salesforce. Just a few key levels to take note, but I think no immediate opportunity to buy in as well. All right, SL. Okay, passing the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
Okay, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I want to cover, right, will be AMD, because I saw SL is also asking quite a number of stocks, right, but AMD is one of them. Now prices are high, should I still buy? And I also saw Jimmy asking about AMD, right? You bought at 115, when to sell. So you're asking about buying and you're asking about selling. So I'll cover both, okay, about potential buying and where is the potential zone to actually take a look at to maybe take some profits, right? Okay, so we take a look at AMD currently, right? And what do we see is that, yes, first thing first, short-term trend is pretty strong, attempting to cross above the 200 days moving average. That's great. And yet, as of yesterday, price, has closed at 143, right? 143. So, SL, you're saying that now price is high. Yes, price is high. If you were to compare it back into April, right? April at the low was close to 80, right? Close to 80, 79, 80. But is it high compared to when we were back in March? No lah, because when we were back in March, the high was back, very, very close to even 230 lah. So it really depends. And the thing is that when we are thinking about buying, we want to buy near a support, right? Like what I've said earlier, we are thinking about buying, we want to buy near a support. And in terms of buying, where would the support be at this point in time, right? The support, I would say right now, if I were to take a look at this, and based on where the price had touched previously, right here at 130, I would say 130 would be one of the immediate key support level that perhaps you might want to take note of, right? Because why price broke above this level, came back down, tested this, hold above it pretty well, broke down somewhere in December, went all the way down to the lows, right, in April when the tariffs actually happened, came back up again, and recently it just broke back and holding above the 130. So I would say 130 is one of the key support level that you might want to take note of at this point in time, right? And now that we know that, potential buy zones that we can monitor would be around this level, right? Close to 130 to maybe about 140. This would be a potential buy zones that we can take note of. And that's where you can also potentially set some alerts. So like you see right over here, this triangle, right? I already set my alert here at about 135. You can do that as well, right? To let you be aware if prices were to retrace back, and hit to this potential buy zone. But that being said, because at this point in time, like I've mentioned, we only always think about buying when, all the long-term trend and short-term trend are heading in the same direction, right? So if you still do want to think about buying, you also need to think about, your stop loss plan, right? when do you exit or when do you get out if prices, fall back below the 130. Okay, so do have a trading plan in place, all right, for SL. And back to Jimmy, right? So Jimmy, you mentioned that you bought AMD, you're holding AMD at 115. So I'm pretty sure now you're actually sitting on profits. Congrats. And you're thinking about when do you actually sell. So when we think about selling, we want to look at resistance level, right? Number one, resistance level. So if we take a look at this resistance level, if we were to monitor price action back in the past year, right? I would say 180, right? 180, this level right over here will be one of the resistance level that we want to take note of, because prices right over here, a couple of weeks, right, or maybe even close to a month, it was kept below this level, break up above it, but didn't manage to hold above it for long, came back down, retested it again back in July in 2024, neared it in October, but didn't manage to break above it. So I would say near 180, this would be one of the levels that potentially we can think about, taking some profits, right? It could be maybe, don't have to be full position, right? It could be half position, one third of your position. That is also fine. And Jimmy, I just wanted to highlight this particular function, which is the trailing support and resistance function, which Bervyn and Joey has also showed earlier, right? So I will just turn this on, and right now, if I were to zoom in a bit more, we can see that, price is definitely trading above this trailing support, right? And one way that perhaps you might want to think about protecting your profits, because now you're already sitting on profits about, you bought in at about 115, right? And one way that you can utilize this trailing support function, right, effectively and efficiently, right, is that you can use this as a guide to place your stop limit order to actually protect your profits, right? And how we can do that is, when I say use this as a guide, right, we can actually place, your stop limit order slightly below the trailing support. Why? Because like what Joey mentioned earlier on, this trailing support, it will trail the prices as it moves up or as it moves down, right? Trailing resistance, when price moves down, trailing resistance follow it down. When price goes up, trailing support will follow it up, right? And it also accounts for the stock volatility. So that being said, it already gives it room to breathe. And that is why you can actually use the trailing support as a guide to actually, place your stop limit order to protect your profits, right? To protect your profits. And prices continue to move up, your trailing support will definitely also move up, right? When price goes up, this trails the price, it moves up, and that's where you can continue to shift your stop limit order up to protect even more profits. All right. So, Jimmy, I hope that helps. Maybe you can explore a bit about, the trailing support function. And yeah, so for SL, some of the levels to take note, like I've mentioned, 130 is near the support level, 180 is near the resistance, and can make use of the trailing support function. All right. So that will be for AMD. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
Okay, thank you so much, Z. Very good. Let's move on very quickly to the next one. So I think this is another stock that I saw quite a few of you asking about it. I think we have, let's see, right? Chin Ting Long, right? BBAI bought at 4.15 BBAI. So what is this code BBAI about? Well, the name is BigBear.ai over here on my screen. I think we have another one as well. Big Tree. Hi, is BigBear.ai goodbye now? Let's find out in a bit. I think we have one more as well. Kelvin Lee, BigBear.ai, please. Top volume transaction recently and looks bullish reversal. So let's go into cover. I think quite a few of you are asking about it. And here we are at about $5.80. $5.80. As the name sounds, right? I have not really followed this stock, but as the name sounds, BigBear.ai, probably to do with AI. And I think we are starting to see some really good bullish movement happening. So you can see that we actually had a couple of, okay, I'll not go too far, but you can see that previously in like November 2024, right? We got two bullish signals, another one, and of course the rally started all the way up until the bearish signal came out. 238% in about 3 months. Look at this, right? Of course, a bearish signal came out. You want to be careful, get out, take some profit, don't buy, right? And it goes down. But what happens was in 25th of April, to be exact, 25th of April, finally, right, the one GT bullish signal came back, all right? Another one as well over the past 2 days, it started to push up a little bit higher. That would be about 88%, all right? 88% in about 2 months. So pretty good, right? The question is 88%, right? Some of you might say that, oh, maybe it might start to come back down. 88% is too much, right? Well, previously it was 250%. Now it's only 88, right? So could there be more upside? Why not? Especially if certain resistance levels are broken, we still hold above certain support levels, like the trailing support, there could potentially still be more upside. So we don't normally say that, oh, because it's 88, it's 100, it's 200, and then it's too high, it will come back down. No, all right, because most of the time, a stock that is strong could potentially hit even higher. And, we want to make sure we take steps to protect our profits as we hit even higher as well, right? But we don't just discount it and say, oh, it's too high, we're not going to buy because it's going to come down. No, there could potentially still be more upside as well. So let's take a look, right? So even though we have gone up by about 88%, now it's 580, it used to be like $3. Well, I think there could still be more upside because we finally got another 1 GT bullish signal. So let me show you guys, why we got this 1 GT bullish signal. You can see right over here. Well, we actually got this resistance level. I mean, if I extend it, you see we actually attempted to break the resistance at about $4.60. So all the way, there will be another resistance right here. Previously, we were around the $10 mark. So that could become like the upside. I mean, as we were to slowly approach from $7, $8, $9, $10, another 70%, that could be. So let me go into turn on what we call the trailing support, right? So trailing support, you can see right over here, when we got the first 1 GT bullish signal on 25th of April, the trailing support actually popped up, right? Up, flat, follow. And over the past few days, it's starting to follow it more because it's starting to move up, right? And we are right over here, I would say around the $4. So it is a little bit more speculative. I would say this stock's a bit more speculative. It's not your, Microsoft or Nvidia, a few $100s. It's only like $5.80. So definitely a little bit more speculative. So please do your proper position sizing, risk management on that. Don't anyhow just whack and stuff, right? Practice proper risk management, right? But overall, my take is this, right? We got a bullish signal. Yes, played out. Seems like it's still playing out because we got another 1 GT bullish signal. We're still above the $4 psychological trailing support level, right? And even what we call another support level, I can draw it for you, will be right over here, slightly higher, around 460. Why? Because you can see 460, we went above, it was a resistance, we broke above it. Next day, a bit of selling, but we're still above it. And on last night, it was a pretty good bullish candles pushing away from 460 as well. So 460 would be a near-term support level all the way to the $6, right? $6. So pretty volatile, right? 460 to $6 is by looking at the range, you can see it's about 26, 27% kind of upside. So a good entry would be potentially near 460, 480, 470, $5. I mean, near 460. I don't know whether you'll go right down for you to buy, right? But you can see that as we approached there yesterday, near here, bargain hunting happened. All right, it started to see a bit of retracement, and we are back up to near $6. So that could be a good entry. All right, of course, if $6 were to give way, good. All right, if $6 were to give way, I think targets could be revised to maybe about $8, maybe all the way back to $10 as well. All right, so bullish signals in play. All right, since April, another one came out. It looks pretty bullish, all right? And let's see if the $6 actually, gives way as well. So what you could do is to set some price alert, like, for example, you could set alert at about $6.06 alternate A, right? 606, 605, 602. That's where we could be alerted, right? And if this it breaks, right, we would be alerted. We could think about taking a more aggressive position to ride even more upside momentum. Okay, so this is BigBear.ai. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let me just see. I think Maya is hopefully I'm getting your name correct. Is asking about Ralph Lauren. All right, so I'll just throw Ralph Lauren up on the screen. Maya, I think first time. If it's the first time here, welcome to our AMAS. All right, so on the screen right now we have the stock you have requested for, Ralph Lauren. I think just for Ralph Lauren, prices have once again approached that $285 resistance, where it was previously around that February period, somewhere around there as well. Went up, tested it a few times, tried to consolidate under it, wasn't able to, came in, prices actually sell down towards that 180 level, that 180 support level. I think that is a pretty steep sell down. I think this support level was previously respected, was previously a resistance, and then now it is a support. I think in the nearer term wise, if you're looking for a support wise, you can actually find a little bit of a support right around that 260 level, right? The 260 level where prices have pretty much been just going up, down, going up again. Right now we are just in the middle, right? Just in the middle of that 260 to that 285 level. So you can expect maybe a little bit of a consolidation to come in. Okay, prices to be a bit of this, to continue this range bound movement for a while longer. Right, it's completely normal. I would say it's completely normal for prices to move sideways for a bit before going into a new phase as well. So we have that 1GT bullish signal that is still playing out. It came out on the 5th of May, so it's about 2 months ago, close to 2 months ago already, and it's still playing out right now. I think if the prices were to be able to break above that 285 level, I think can do a simple projection like we've done many times throughout this stream. I think you can see that the projection would show that prices could lead up to that 310 level, the 310 level. I think Maya, if what you want to do right now, if you are actually holding on to this counter, then perhaps you want to just turn on that trailing support and resistance. You can see right here that the trailing support is just around that $250, below that $260 support. So what you want to do is to just place your stop limit orders just below, right? Just below that $250 level, maybe 2 to 3% lower, just to allow for a little bit of a space for the stock to account for its volatility as well. Or if you are looking for a breakout, all right, if you're looking for a breakout strategy, your potential level or potential alerts can be placed around that 286, maybe 287 level to just get that confirmation of that breakout, prices entering a new phase. Or if you are looking for a little bit of a range bound trading, you could place a buy zone close to that 260 to maybe about that 265 level. I think that should give you sufficient range, and I think that maybe you've got to calculate your reward to risk as well. See if that upside to that 285 sufficient if you get in close to that 260 level. But so far it's looking okay. Just that maybe that 20 days moving average showing a little bit of a downward trend, but it could start to flatten out already as prices have started to increase, rebounded from the 260 level. We may see start to flatten out over the next few days. Ideally, that's what we want. But if prices continue, or if the prices or sellers start to come back in again, then yes, you may see that 20 days moving average continue to slope down. I think this is one of the signals that you could actually look out for as well. So I think so far for Ralph Lauren, just moving a little bit sideways. Alerts can be set up in that fact. All right. So I think Maya, that hopefully that helps you a little bit. So pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I will be covering will be APH, right? Chester is asking about APH. Still holding APH, and is it good to add to ride the uptrend? So when I take a look at this stock, right, I really like the uptrend really. Why? Because if I just see the moving average, right, green above red above blue, all heading in the same direction. Short term, long term aligning, that's great, right? That's great. And prices is actually still heading up higher. And as of yesterday, it closed at 96.98, right? So Chester is holding on to this stock and is thinking whether is it good to add to ride the uptrend. So I think this is a very, very good question. And this is also a lot of us, right, we might need to change a bit of our mentality, right, to actually adopt this mentality. Because the thing is that when things get expensive, a lot of us don't want to buy the stock. But actually, it's okay to buy the stock to increase exposure. Why not? Because especially so when the stock is trending up, right? So I think this is one of the mentality that maybe more of us can actually try to actually adopt. There is nothing wrong to buy slightly more expensive, right, to increase your exposure, especially so when the uptrend is actually intact. Okay, so back to this. So we can see that over the past couple of years, right, not past couple of years, sorry, I mean the past 1 year or so, since 2024, prices have been, the uptrend is definitely still intact, right? But we do see some sort of resistance right over here at 76, right near here at 76, because back in June, August, this was where it didn't even reach 76, about 68. Selling pressure came back in, 1GT bearish signal appear, push price back down. But it actually rebounded very quickly from the 200 days moving average right over here, and then went all the way back up to actually retest this 76 a couple more times, right? A couple more times, and eventually it broke above it somewhere in May. And I believe this one of the catalysts could actually be also of the earnings right over here, right, because of the surprise positive earnings right over here. And that's where we started to see this stock, for the past month from May all the way to June, it just rallied all the way up, and only until a few weeks back, we start to see some sort of consolidation, right? Over the past couple of weeks, in early June, whereby prices was actually managed to hold above this 92 level. So I would say 92 will be definitely one of the immediate support level that we can potentially take note of, right? And if you are thinking about potentially adding more position, we want to add near a support level, right? And this could be one of the potential zones that we can take note to increase our exposure and to accumulate, right? Especially if prices, were to actually retrace back to this support level. Okay, and in terms of the resistance wise, I would say, because now for this particular stock, if I were to look all the way back, it is also at an all-time high. And one of the immediate psychological resistance definitely would be at 100, right? So this $100 psychological level, I would not be surprised if, prices hit all the way back up, right? And some selling pressure actually return. And what I would want to see ideally, right, is actually for price to, consolidate sideways before it actually push up even higher. Because from what we see over here for the past month, prices has rallied up very, very quickly. And we want to make sure that this uptrend is actually sustainable. It is better to actually have some sort of consolidation first before it actually push up even higher. Because otherwise, if price continue to head up all the way, right, without any support levels being found, without any resistance, it can be quite scary, right? It can be quite scary. And emotions might get involved, right? So what we want to know is, where are the buyers coming back in? Where are the sellers coming in to sell their prices? And these are the two levels at this point in time that we can take note, somewhere near this 92 and near the $100 for a psychological resistance where some selling pressure can actually return, right? And we can see that 1GT bullish signal came out right over here on 23rd of April, right? And from this day to where we are at, price have risen for about close to 38% already. So, Chester, if you are thinking about adding some position, that's fine. You can potentially add near the support level like what I mentioned. But I would like to also emphasize that if prices actually head back up to the $100, right, there is also nothing wrong to actually take some profits, right? Take some profits, put it in your pocket, treat yourself to a nice meal. That's also okay. Okay, so that would be for APH, and I will now pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Great analysis. Let's move back to the next one, and that would be, so very quickly, guys, I think a total of how many stocks have we covered so far, right? We have covered a total of 12 stocks so far right now. So apologies if we still haven't covered your stocks right now. Let's just go a little bit faster. We try to cover maybe a total of like 18 stocks today. So two more rounds, right? 2 more rounds we try to go through very quickly, and maybe about 18 stocks today. And after that, we could go through at the end, all right, the bonus stocks that we like, that we want to share with you, that you could probably put your watch list for even more upside. So what's the first stock we covered today? So right at the beginning, we talked about the S&P market, right? S&P 500 index, the Dow Jones. I think some of you are asking about the markets. In case you miss any of those stocks we cover, or even the markets, right? Watch the replay, right? It'll be on my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well, so that you can go ahead to find the video easily as well. All right. So after the markets, we covered the very first stock. I talked about it, and that would be Philip Morris. The code is PM. Then Bervyn covered Accenture, right? ACN is the code. Micron, Nvidia, NVDA, right? Then Sofi Technology, the code is Sofi, SOFI. Z covered AVAV. I covered Celsius Holding, the code is CELH. Salesforce, CRM, all right? Advanced Micro Devices, AMD. And then I covered BigBear.ai. BBAI is the code. And then Bervyn covered Ralph Lauren, RL. Z covered APH. And that is number 12. So right now, I'm moving to stock number 13, right? Number 13. Let's move on to 2 more rounds. 2 more rounds, 2 times 3, 6 more stocks. And I'll go ahead to cover right now this stock called Trimble, right? TRMB. Who is asking about it? I think we have, let's see, right? Shah is asking about this stock Trimble. Let me just go to put Shah's comment up on the chat, right? Where is it? Okay, I saw it right over here, right? Okay, Shah. How about TRMB Trimble? Can it go further up 80 or even $100? Already bought earlier and hope to hold, right? So you bought earlier, great. I'm not too sure what price, but let's see if you could hit even higher, especially if we do breach some of the key resistance level. So I think right now you can see for Trimble, a little bit volatile. I mean, we've got a couple of bullish signal in August, October, then all the way up. And some bearish signals came out in February, March, where it starts coming down again, all the way from $76. So we went from like 50 to 75 back to about 60. And then finally, right, over the past 2 months in 29 of I would say 7th of May, exactly, right? About close to 2 months back, all right? Early of May, 7th May, we got a 1GT bullish signal, all right? Right around the 63, 64 level. The green 20 days moving average line started to point up. And I think right now we are starting to push even higher, all right? I think we're starting to push even higher. So I think right now, not too sure when you bought, but we are looking at about a 19% gain in less than a month so far, all right? So let's take a look at what could be the key resistance whereby we could hit even higher if those resistance level gets broken, all right? I think that would be a very key level right here. That was where we touched in January. In February, we neared it. We got a bearish signal and it starts coming down, right? So this level is none other than the $78, right, Shah? $78. I think it's a very key level. Like you want to take note, right? Just put in your write it down, right? Anything near 80, near 78 or even 80, I think that's where some selling can come back again. So I think we are now at 75. So you can see quite near. This is what we call a selling zone, whereby some profit taking can potentially come back, right? Nothing wrong with it, right? It doesn't mean it must come down all the way down. No, it just means that when we hit there, some selling pressure can come back again, all right? So not too sure exactly when you got in, but if you got in somewhere at the lows, you got in when you see the bullish signal, or maybe somewhere over here at like 52, 55, when you got the bullish signal in August, great, right? You could also think about taking some profits near the 78, 76, 77 kind of a resistance level, because that is pretty much where selling can happen, right? So I'm more of watching if this 78 resistance can be broken, right? Can we actually breach this kind of like 8 to 7 months kind of level, right? So if we can breach the 78, we go to above 80 as well, not too bad. We may even see a new 1GT bullish signal. I think targets could be revised even higher, all the way to $90 first, 90 and then maybe to $100. So I think I'm still quite bullish. I think you can see that over the past few days, attempting to push even higher already. Pump 3 days as we went above that 73, 74. I think we are slowly approaching that 78 level. So let's see if the 78 level breaks out. If it breaks out good, I think you can write even more. You could take steps to protect your profits by using what we call the trailing support level. As you can see, as it moves up, the trailing support follows it. It gives it space to breathe and it follows it. So to protect your profits, you can put a stop loss below what we call the trailing support. It goes higher, you raise it up. For example, let's assume we break 78, right? I can tell you this trailing support will follow, and it follows even more, right? And what you want to do is to place your stop loss, that could be somewhere over here right now, all right? To protect your profits, you could raise it below the trailing support level, all right, and protect your profits so that no matter what, you still make money. Does it make sense so far? All right, so that is Trimble. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let me just see. I think just now M was asking a few times already. I think someone else was also asking about NVO. I think Novo Nordisk wanting to get in at the current $67 level. Is that a good idea? I believe that is what you are thinking. Okay, so I think for Novo Nordisk, it has seen its ups and downs. Definitely, I think last year it had a good run. So just in last year, prices have went as high as 60% in about half a year. But I think in 2025, we've seen mostly weakness since the start of the year, as high from its high all the way down to its low, seen about a 37% decline. This is besides the fact that it came down from $140 all the way to $60. There's more than a 50% decline. So is it a good idea to be accumulating something like this at this point? I think we cannot bluff ourselves. Our 100 days and 200 days moving average is currently pointing down. All right, it's currently pointing down. So definitely not a good first sign, but we see a little bit. All right, we see a little bit of a strength in that 20 days moving average in the past 2 months or so, until very recently it has started to, let me just turn off these signals first. It had started to flatten out and maybe even starting to point down a little bit. Yes, so I think that some of their drugs are doing really well, but I think competition is very, very fierce in that sector. And a little bit of a sellers also have come in to take profits at the close to the $80 level. And so we want to be watching out for this $80 level. Previously was some form of support turn resistance at this point. So right now prices are about $67 as you said, but I think that support area remains about that $60 level. So if this level is breached, this $60 level is breached, you could see the next support around that $50 psychological level. So then it begs the question, should we be buying in a stock in the downtrend? I think Z and Joey have mentioned many times. So at the risk of sounding like a broken recorder, I don't think that we should be buying against the trend. All right, it's sometimes cheap can become cheaper. We don't want to be caught in the policy where once the prices come down, it will rebound. It must rebound. But sometimes the market don't care, or the company doesn't care who is the shareholders. One doesn't mean you buy, it must go up. So we want to wait for the trend to reverse. Wait for a trend to reverse. It's okay to buy a little bit more expensive, right? A little bit more expensive. Why? Because it gives you the better confirmation, right? And give you better confirmation if where the prices are once again heading up. So I think the first thing we have to wait out for would be if prices head up to the $60 level, will it be able to rebound once again? All right, that's step one. And step two, if prices are able to rebound from the $60 level, when it hits back to the $80 level, is it able to break above that $80? Right, that is the next step. Step three, do we see any new 1GT bullish signals coming in as prices break above the $80 level? Right, that is the initial signs of a trend reversal, and then we can start to watch that 100 days and 200 days moving average start to flatten out, start to point up, start to cross each other again. Then yes, and if prices hold firmly above the $80 level, that upside towards that $100 psychological level can then come back to be in play. Then yes, we can then confirm that there's a trend reversal. You're in a much better position, although you bought a little bit more expensive, but at least you are able to ride a longer term trend. And if that trend continues, then perhaps it could hit higher once again. All right, so I think right now, if you are looking to set up some alerts to get yourself in position, I think what you can do also is to also turn on your trailing support and resistance right now. So if your trailing support and resistance is showing right now around that $75 level, so first alert I think you can set up is right around the 75 or even above the $80 level, just to get yourself alerted that yes, potentially we can have a trend reversal in play. All right, so that is for NVO. I don't see a need to be averaging down or buying in just yet. All right, passing the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be Lulu. So Lululemon, right? And AR1259. I hope you are still here. I'll be covering Lulu right now, okay? So for Lulu, right, actually the first thing first when I look at this chart, right, I don't really like how the chart is actually looking already on the screen. Very firstly, because it is having lower highs, right? You see over here, you compare to here, and compare to here. First thing first, lower highs. Not very good lah, not very good. And second thing, I zoom in on the moving averages, right? Zoom in on the moving average. Right over here, we are actually seeing, all the moving averages, right? It's actually starting to point down, and especially the 20 days moving average is pointing down pretty steeply. And the red line, the 100 days, has just crossed below the 200 days, and that is also not very good. Plus, we do see a 1GT bearish signal coming out on just early June, right? Early June. And right now, price yesterday closed at 231.58, right? So first thing first, in terms of the trend, I would say for Lululemon, not that ideal. And I think Peter is actually also asking about Lululemon outlook, right? And you bought at about 227, right? So right now price is at about 231. So let's talk about some of the key levels, right? That perhaps you might want to take note of this, and whether should you even be thinking about buying or not. Because first thing first, when you look at the trend is already not ideal, and all of the moving averages is pointing down. Why would you want to think about buying when the trend is going down? Because in a sense, you are trying to catch like a falling knife, right? So not so good, right? Not so good. So the immediate support that we can take a look at this point in time, I would say somewhere at this 220 to 225, right? This would be one of the very crucial and key support, right? That you definitely need to take note of. Why? Because if prices were to break below this support level, right, I would say definitely we might see more downside returning to this counter, right? Because if this support is broken, this was where, back in August, right, prices actually rebounded from. And here, right over here from August to February, yes, it could be a potential upside reversal play, but then it didn't materialize, right? Prices just broke down, selling pressure came back in pretty strongly, and this is where we are at right now. The chart don't lie, right? And this is what we are looking at. And if prices were to break below the 220, potentially where can we see price heading towards? If I were to turn back all the way, right, I think you'll be back to, the 2020, the COVID time really, right? That will be somewhere near this 100 and maybe close to 140, right? This could be the next level that we could potentially look at, right, if prices cannot hold above this crucial support level at around 220 to 250 level, right? And I wanted to bring your attention to this. If I were to, right over here, let me just take a snapshot of this, and you just focus on the moving average, right? Do you see it's kind of like a replicate of here right now? You see the green is pointing down, green is definitely pointing down, and the red just crossed below the blue, and right before that, we also do get a 1GT bearish signal, right? And this is where we are at right now, and we don't want to actually buy into a stock, especially when all of these signs are telling us that, hey, the trend is not looking that great. What we want to see is more of like a stabilization first, right? At least something where the 20 days moving average has started to stabilize sideways and point back up, right? Point back up. That is what we want to look for. More confirmations that the trend has actually more or less stabilized first, especially so for the short-term trend first. First thing first, you have to look at the short-term trend first for it to actually stabilize before even thinking about buying, okay? And okay, let me just clear this up, okay, so that not to confuse you guys. And in terms of the resistance wise, I would say one of the key resistance, right, or the immediate resistance, I would say would be around close to this 350 level right over here, because that was where we actually saw multiple times, selling pressure came back in. It was here back in May 2024 where prices actually broke below. We get a 1GT bullish, a bearish signal, came back, retested this level, it managed to hold above it, right? Like I mentioned, this was where, potentially a uptrend reversal could play out, but it didn't materialize, right? It didn't materialize. And then it broke down again. And right now, over the past couple of weeks, early June, prices didn't even touch this 360, right? It didn't even touch this level. It was nearly, and then that's where, we got a 1GT bearish signal again, probably due to the catalyst of like, the earnings, whereby, if I were to open this, earnings right over here, it shows positive surprise, right? But it could be the guidance, right? I'm not too sure. I never really deep dive into the earnings, but it could also be the guidance. So the thing is that especially during earnings season, if you cannot take volatility, it's okay not to actually, trade during earnings season, because this could happen, right? Even though, earnings could be great, it could be a positive surprise, but, the stock could also get down very big, right? Like over here. Okay, so in terms of Lululemon, right, I would say if you are thinking about buying at this point in time, maybe hold your horses first to continue monitoring this stock first, because we do not want to catch a falling knife, right? And in terms of Peter, right, you bought at 227, now is at about 231, right? Probably you're still sitting on a tiny bit of profits, but do have your trading plan in place, right? Do have your trading plan in place, especially so do take note of this crucial support level. If prices were to be broken, that's where we may see more weakness returning back to this counter. Okay, so that will be for Lululemon. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Yeah, so what Z has mentioned is very important as well, guys, right? In a downtrend, all right, when things are moving lower and lower, it gets cheaper and cheaper. The trend is the short term is turning down, plus you get a bearish signal, all right, and then you want to buy, then you're kind of like just going against everything. Like, what's the point of doing that? So don't do that, right? You maybe want to think about only getting in, about buying, all right, when you do see trend reversal in the short term, even a new 1 GT bullish signal coming out, that could guide you to get back in. All right, Ken. So let's go ahead to cover the next stock. Let's just go one more round very quickly. One more round. Me, Bervyn, and Z. Then we'll go to wrap up this session and we'll share with you 3 bonus stocks that we can put in our watch list. All right, put your watch list. So let's go ahead to cover the next one. So I think Dixon, hopefully you're still here, Dixon. Right, Robinhood. The code is HOOD. Seems interesting. Yeah, indeed, it looks pretty interesting, right? What is the target price to buy? All right, so I think you're looking at a potential entry. What could be a good potential entry to write even more upside? So as I say, guys, so all this while, me, Bervyn, and Z, we have been using what we call my one good trend strategy. Right? In short, it's called 1GT. And based on this strategy, you can see that we have pretty much turned it on this indicator, the one good trend pro indicator, whereby in a matter of seconds, it comes up with bullish or bearish signal. So any asset classes, you can turn it on. Let me just go ahead to do it right now. And it can guide you at whether to buy or sell. Of course, as I say, if you see a bearish signal, red color one, then please be patient, all right? But if you see a new green 1GT bullish signal, will you be more confident? Will you be, not so scared to press the button, all right? Definitely, right? Because we want to have a few more other confirmations as well. But based on these signals, it can guide you to know when to get in, maybe even when to get out, right? If you see a red bearish signal coming back. So let's see for Robinhood very quickly. What has happened, right? Okay, we don't always have bullish, we also have bearish. And look at this, right? Bearish, you have to buy. It starts going down, right? Go down, bearish signal, it starts going down even more. Right? So we don't want to buy when the bearish signal comes up. We want to buy when a bullish signal, another one go up even faster, a bullish signal coming out. And you can see when that happens, that's where you are riding about 117% gains in about 3 months. 117% in 3 months, not 3 years. And of course, it starts coming down, you get out, you take some profit. Never mind, 117% is still greedy. All right, get out, right? Take some profit. Down. Wait for it. Be patient, right? And yes, wait for what? Wait for this 1GT bullish signal to come back in. Wait for maybe another confirmation of the short-term trend turning back up, the green 20 days moving average line. And also, we want the longer-term trend, the red and blue line, to be up, which actually has been up since last year, right? So that is where we have started to see a pretty good rebound, right? From here all the way to another 84% in 2 months, 84%. So that's what we want to wait for, right? So I'll just place the link. Okay, maybe Tim can help me to place the link in the chat, all right? Whereby, as I say, if you want to get an indicator, you can test drive my one good trend light indicator for free. That's where, as I say, you can turn it on and off. Bullish and bearish signal comes out, guide you when to get in and when to get out, right? But let's go ahead to talk about Robinhood right now to see what could be a potential entry. So what I think right now is that for Robinhood, as I say, everything looks good, right? A bullish signal is in play. We have gone up. Short-term trend is up. Long-term trend is up. In fact, over the past few days, I think we have actually breached above this $80. So $80 would be a little bit of a 2 weeks kind of a resistance level. All right, look at this, came down for about 2-3 weeks. We're below it, right? But finally on this day, Tuesday, right, about 3 days back, right, 3 days back, we went above the $80, right? So now it's 84.52. So not too bad, right? We're actually attempting to push a little bit higher. That would be a good thing, all right? If you push higher and come back down, then of course not good, but you push higher, you stay above it, you stay above the new resistance that has turned into a support level, that would be a good thing. So $80 would be a potential, right, entry level. Anything on dips near 80, it could be 81, it could be 83, it could be 82. Don't ask me exactly which one is, whether it go to 80.5 or 81.5 or 82 point something, I don't know, right? But what I know is that if it does hit to near 80, right, that's where some bargain hunting can potentially come back again. And that would be the horizontal support level. If I can quickly turn on the trailing support level, look at this, right? As I said, the first bullish signal came out in April, all right, when we were around that $50. So 50 now become 80 already, all right? Already went up, a bit expensive, sorry. So basically, it went up. You can see that the trailing support follow, right? And it's right over here, somewhere around that 71. Let's just say 70, 71, 72, right? So that is where you see the trailing support is slightly below because it gives the stock space to breathe, right? To breathe and hopefully move even higher. So all this while you can see it's falling. I'm not too sure whether it will continue to move up and follow like what we're doing. But if the price continues to move up, this trailing support will continue to follow it. Not so closely, right? Give it space to breathe as well as it moves up. So that's what you could do as well. You could try to get in, above the horizontal support. If it does dip above the trailing support, that could be a good entry, right? Targets could be, I would say very quickly, It seems like it's doing what we call a $60 to $80 range. Look at this right up here, from 30 to 50, a $20 range, right? So like, for example, from here to here, something about a $20, right? $20 range. So if you can kind of extrapolate, well, that would be maybe around the $100, right? So that could be kind of like where, we might, I mean, $100 is a psychological resistance. So that's where potentially we might see a bit of profit taking, or take some profit near there. Nothing wrong, perfectly all right to lock in some profits, put it in your pocket, get a bit more confidence, and then, see what's the next plan again, right? If it does dip a little bit, you could even think about getting in again, right? So Robinhood, code is HOOD, looks pretty bullish. Anything above 80, I am pretty bullish on this stock. Bervyn, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think Biscuit, good morning. Wow, I like your profile picture also a Biscuit. Okay, so I bought Marvell at $57. Okay, is it good to hold for longer comes? Yeah, okay. I mean, thank you for your support as well, for being here with us today. Okay, let me just throw it up onto the screen. Okay, so here we got Marvell. Okay, Marvell Technologies. I think in the last year or so, I think especially since the start of 2025, towards the end of 2025, actually see Marvell approaching the 125 resistance level. Then sellers very, very quickly came in. Not been following this stock. Could it be like some negative news coming in for the company, or anything like that? Because it's pretty much a very steep decline. It's very much a steep decline, and prices fell all the way to that $47 support level, that low of $47, $48, where it was previously tested back then in 2023. Yeah, so I think more recently, I think we see a little bit of strength as prices break above that $65 resistance, now turning into a support. So you bought at $57. Wow, that means you're sitting on some profits. So I'm not too sure when did you buy. Is it just last few months? Hopefully not back then in 2023. Okay, more recently. So if you have bought more recently, then yes, then you are probably sitting on some profits already. So now, should you continue to hold it longer is the question. I think first thing first, we see that 200 days moving average is just moving sideways, pretty much flat. 100 days moving average, right here, red color line still pointing down, but we have that 20 days moving average pointing up at this point. So I think a little bit of mixed signals going across the board. But I think for the shorter term trend, if this is not a longer term holding, you're just in position, all right, for a shorter term trade, we could face a little bit of a resistance around the $84 to $85, where previously sometime in October, this was where prices consolidated for about a month or so before breaking higher. All right, so there's nothing wrong, like Zia said, nothing wrong to actually take some profits. All right, take some profits close to that 84, maybe about 83 and a half, $83. Again, take some profits there. It is fine as well. Maybe let go half of that position if prices approach to that level. But you can still leave some of the remaining position to continue to ride that nearer term momentum. Right? Why? It is because definitely we still see that 1GT bullish signal still in play from sometime in May. Right? Perhaps if the $84 level is broken, we see another 1GT bullish signal coming in. Good, another sign that that uptrend can continue. And then if prices break higher, you can see that 100 days moving average will definitely start to flatten out as well. So alternatively, all right, you can use that trailing support. Right now, that trailing support is about a $66 level. Can use that trailing support, just placing your stop limit orders slightly below that $66 level. All right, maybe just let me draw it right here for you, right around that $64, maybe $63 level as a downside protection. But that is quite a bit of a fall from that $80 level all the way to that $64 level. Your profit will be cut down by quite a bit. So I hope we can see a little bit of consolidation, right? A little bit of a healthier uptrend forming where prices are approach or could approach that $84 level, consolidate for a little bit. Definitely will see that trailing support start to hit higher as well, and then flatten out. Then of course shift your stop limit orders up, right? Protect even more profits. All right, then if prices break higher above the $85 level, you want to be alerted towards it as well. But I think so far so good. The initial reversal looks to be in play. I think the next level to watch out for is definitely the 85 level. If it holds above it, I think yes, more or less you could see a reversal back up to the $100 psychological level. But it's still maybe a little bit too early to tell at the same time. All right, Vishit, that is for Marvell Technologies. I'll pass the time to Z to cover the last requested stock.
Okay, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the last stock, right, I'll be doing is from Ian, right? Ian is asking about Meta and Microsoft. Probably I'll cover Meta, right? And you are asking whether to accumulate or take profits, and your cost price is 495. Wow, that's pretty low, because Meta now, yesterday closed at 726. You're probably sitting on a lot of profits already. So now you're thinking whether you should take profits or you should actually accumulate some position. I think that's a very, very valid question to have. So let's take a look at this, all right? So for Meta, trend definitely uptrend is intact, right? We also do get a 1GT bullish signal right over here on the 2nd of May, right? And all three moving averages are heading up. Prices is heading up to retest, I would say, one of the immediate psychological resistance at around 740, right? Because this is where, right in, I think somewhere in February, middle of February, right? This is where, price tested, touched this level, selling pressure came back in pretty quickly. And we also see a, 1GT bearish signal started to come out, right? And it went all the way to the lows in April. And then very quickly, in the past couple of months, right? Just 2 to 3 months, this stock has rebounded very quickly and now it's heading back up to retest the 740 again. So I would say in terms of strength wise, definitely we are seeing strength in this counter, right? So if you are thinking about taking some profits, right, there is nothing wrong, I think, to take some profits, right, especially near this 740 right over here, which is the resistance level, right, which is one of the resistance that we have mentioned. And let me change this to rate. Okay, so so this could be one of the zones that you can potentially take some profits, right? To take some profits off, because you mentioned that your cost price is at 495, right? 495. Let me just estimate. Okay, if it's 495, somewhere around here to where you are at, you are already sitting on about 45% profits, right? It's okay to take some partial profits, like half position, one third of your position. That's fine, right? There's nothing wrong. But at the same time, you can also consider to actually accumulate. But the question is, where do you then accumulate, right? Of course, like just now what we mentioned, we always want to buy near the support. And one of the support that I've mentioned, is that about this 560, right, that I've drawn. But the thing is, of course, now price is at 760 plus. I don't know whether, price will always go back down, for you to actually buy at 560. I'm not sure, but that is one of the levels. But the other levels, right, that we can consider to actually accumulate some positions, especially when your cost price is so low, right, is to make use of this trailing support function once again. So just now we mentioned we use trailing support as a guide, for stop limit order, to protect your profits. But it can also be used in a way whereby you can actually take note of where is the trading support, and that is where you can potentially accumulate some position as well to increase your exposure, right? Maybe you take some profits near the resistance, but if prices were to retrace back to near the trading support, that's where you can also consider to add some position, increase your exposure, because since your average cost price is very low, right, it's at 495. Okay, so right over here, I turn on the trailing support function, and we can see that the trailing support right now, I think it's somewhere around this 670, right? Then this could potentially be one of the zones. So, okay, this could potentially be one of the zones that you can consider to actually accumulate some position. I'm not saying to accumulate like a lot of positions, but to accumulate on the way up, especially when you're actually riding the uptrend, right? So there's nothing wrong to accumulate near the support and also to take some profits near the resistance. And in a way, that is where you can actually, maximize your profits while you continue to actually ride the uptrend, especially for a counter like Meta. All right. So that would be for Meta. Probably I will pass the time over to Joey to actually, share our bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much. So finally, guys, we have covered a total of 18 stocks today, right? 18 US stocks today. All right. So we hope you have got value so far, especially if we have already covered your stock. Let me know, guys, but before we even talk about the 3 bonus stocks at the end, this type of V for value, type V for value, guys. If you have got value, right, you get a bit clearer on some of the stocks you asked regarding the trend, the target, could we hit even higher? What are some of the support levels? Type of V for value, guys. Let me know if you have got value, right, before I talk about the very first bonus stock. Let me see, right? We have Damien. Damien, I covered your stock, right? VVV. Thank you so much. Value as well. Mahison, hi, Kwa, hi, AR1259, Evelyn as well. Biscuit, I think Bervyn covered your stock as well, all right? Yen as well. Thanks, Z. The trading support too, very insightful, very good. As you can check it out, guys. As I say, we do have, I mean, all this while we're using the 1GT Pro indicator, but if you want to test drive the light indicator, the one good trend light indicator, there's a simpler version that, just consists of the buy and sell signals. Good enough if you want it, something simple. Check it out, right? The link is already in the chat. We'll just place the link in the chat one last time. Click on it and you'll come to this page right over here, right? The most incredible free gift ever in the stock market, right? Test drive my one good trend light indicator for free, a simpler version, all right? And that is where in a matter of seconds, get an opinion whether to buy or sell. If you see a red bearish one, then please be patient. If you see a green bullish one, that can give you a bit more confidence, right? And when you get this test drive, all right, of the 1GT light indicator, you actually get $3,997 worth of a pure money making training for free to just teach you and guide you the entire strategy as well, and to set you on the right path, right? So check it out. The link is in the chat. All right. So now let's go ahead to talk about the very first bonus stock for today that I'd like to share with you before I pass on the mic to Bervyn and Z. So the first stock I'd like to share with you guys that I like, that has been on my watch list for quite a while. I think I've covered it over the past few AMAS session as well. This stock is none other than Netflix, right? Netflix. The code is NFLX. So why do I want to share this stock with you again? Well, essentially, I feel that there could still be more upside. All right, it might be the same stock again and again, but I feel that if there could still be more upside, why not share it with you guys again? All right, and this is Netflix, 1,306. Yesterday, we have attempted to push even higher, right? Even higher. So let me just go ahead to see. Okay, let me just go ahead to turn on what we call the light 1GT Pro indicator, right? In terms of the bullish and bearish signal. 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. All right, you can see that we have actually a couple of bullish signals since August last year. Pump, all the way up. We got 2 bearish signals in February, March. It came down a little bit. But what happened, right? Finally, right? We got 2 new bullish signals in April. I think we talked about that as well in our previous AMAS live session, right? 2 bullish signals coming out. It was around that 1,000 level. We broke it. Of course, the green 20 days moving average line started to turn up as well. Is it still turning up? Yeah, I think it's still turning up, right? It's still kind of stopping up very firmly. The longer term trend based on the red and the blue line, they are still pointing up. So looks pretty good. I think right now there could potentially be even more upside. Why? So let me see, right? You can see that over the past 2 weeks, we have found a bit of a support, maybe around the 1,200. Look at this, right? Went up, came back down. Bargain hunting happened, held above the 1,002. And over the past few days, well, it seems like we have also breached this level. A little bit of a resistance around the 1,260, but it seems like that has given way, all right? And we are above that 1,260, right? So all I can do is can turn on what we call the trailing support. Look at this right over here, the trailing support. Based on this 1GT bullish signals that came out in April, you can see, right, the trailing support has popped up. It follow up, flat up, flat. And it continues to follow it, right, as we hit even higher. So this trailing support that gives the stock space. Look at this, right? There was some space here. So it went down a little bit. There was some space, all right? Now prices are pushing up. The trailing support is starting to follow it, right? But not follow too closely, like give it some space as well to hopefully move even higher, all right? So this trailing support is around 1,215. So yeah, quite a bit of space. As long as you stay above the 1,215, that accounts for the space. I think it's still okay. But I think over the next, over the past few days, not even 1,215, right? As I say, 1,260, 1,250, that has probably come out as a higher support level. So on any dips right over there, I think that could be a good potential entry. All right, to think about getting in. Targets would be revised higher, I would say, based on the range. So we are pretty much at an all-time high. Look at it on the left. There is nothing much to see, right? Because we are at an all-time high. So if you look at the range, I would say that it likes to do what we call kind of like a 15, sorry, not 15, but about a $900 to $80 kind of range, something like that. You see over here, kind of a consolidation, about $80 to $100. So if you kind of extrapolate that a little bit, I would say maybe to 1350 to, let's say, 1004. I think that could be kind of like the next near-term target, right? Especially if it holds above the 1,300 right now. So I think yesterday it closed at 1306, right? So not too bad, right? Even above 1,003, right? So I think you can hold above the 1,003 now. You know, the support maybe could have been raised, could be raised even higher, all right? So we get 1,003 all the way to 1,400. So how we can do, you know, work on counters like this would be, we take steps to protect our profits as it moves even higher. As I say, we could raise our stop loss following the trailing support. It goes even higher, we raise it up. Anytime it comes back down, we get a bearish signal, fine, we get out, we still make money. All right, so that is the very first stock like share with you. We have covered it in our previous AMAS sessions. I think it still looks good, so why not just cover it again? All right, I think there's some questions. Yen, you have a question, right? Yen, 1GT Lite is a monthly subscription. Yes, it is correct. As I say, Yen, the link is right in the chat. Click on it, test drive my 1GT Lite indicator for free, right? For free, and that is where it's on the monthly subscription after a 14 days free trial. So that's where you get to be in our One Good Trend community, whereby you continue to have free access to this 1GT Lite indicator. So the link's in the chat. Click on it, check it out, Yen. All right, and that's where it could guide you to maybe think about getting in, especially if you see like bullish signals like this, and maybe to get out when you see like a red bearish signal. All right, Ken. So that is the first stock, Netflix. I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover his top US stocks as of today. Bervyn, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. I saw doing something a little bit different but same. I will still be covering one of my favorite stocks, or one of our favorite stocks as well, Visa from here, TradingView. Okay, so there we go. What we see is just now what Joey say. If we see a 1GT bullish signal, it could guide you to get in. So we have been covering Visa for the past few AMAS already, and we finally see what we have here, a bearish signal. So for those of you who have been following, we finally have a bearish signal. Means finally, is it time to get out of Visa? So if you have already gotten out of Visa, great. If for those of you who haven't gotten out of Visa just yet after riding that uptrend, maybe perhaps it's time to actually get out for a little bit first. Just wanted to follow up and just say get out for a little bit first, as we see a little bit of weakness coming in. But overall, I feel that the trend, the longer term trend especially, is still looking good at this point. Just that we see a little bit of weakness coming in due to some stable coin news that, hey, could this be threatening even MasterCard or even Visa as well? Both these companies have come a little bit under threat, but I think some news also have came out that, yeah, in general, they still see that we can still see a MasterCard and Visa still holding up pretty well due to their protections that they have in place. I think the immediate resistance, all right, I'm seeing right now is about that 350 level, that 350 level, and prices are still trading under even after yesterday's close, even after such a strong market up move yesterday. We're still seeing a little prices still being a little under that resistance so far. So I think if prices are able to break above that 350 level, we could potentially head back to that 370 level. But otherwise, if not, we can potentially see prices head back to that 330 level, which could be a level where you see buyers coming back in for Visa as well, especially if their longer term trend is still intact. So if a break above that 350 level, we may also see a new 1GT bullish signal come in. But I think the whole point of me covering this today is just to make sure that everyone is aware that there's a 1GT bearish signal that is in. You may want to use that trailing support right now to actually protect your profits, because as that trailing support is broken previously, with the 1GT bearish signal come in, you may have already entered your stop loss level even without knowing it, especially if you do not have the 1GT indicator into your TradingView software, you may not be able to see that trailing support being broken. All right, so just a heads up for Visa. I think a break above 350, I think it can potentially come back to a re-entry again. But right now it's more of a watch and see situation. All right, so I think I'll pass the time now to Z to cover her last bonus stock for today.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the last stock, right, that I want to share today with you guys that I really like is this stock called Quest Diagnostics DGX. So for those of you who have been joining us, since the start of the year, probably you already know about this stock that I've shared a couple of times, because I think this stock I shared about it since February, at the start of February, and this is where we are at now, and this is actually a healthcare company, a healthcare related stock. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Right now, uptrend definitely still intact. I don't really have to talk much about the trend. All of you guys can see short-term trend, long-term trend, both are heading in the same direction. And what we can see right now, right, is that prices have been testing the immediate resistance of 180, and this is what we have drawn previously, right? This is one of the potential sell zone, especially those of you who have gotten in prior, right? Before maybe February, March, whereby you have already sitting on some profits, right? This is where you can consider to actually take some profits near the 180, because over the past couple of weeks, right, right here, actually on the 16th of June, it actually broke out above 160, but unfortunately, it didn't manage to hold and continue to hold above this 180. It could be like a, this is what I would call like, kind of like a false breakout, because ideally when prices break above a resistance, we want to see it being able to hold firmly above that resistance turn support. And I would say at least for a couple of days lah, because to think about it, the longer you wait for it to hold above the resistance turn support, right, the more confirmation you get. But of course, the cons is that perhaps price might have already risen a bit, but you do get that confirmation that that support, that new higher support is indeed holding, right? So that's one thing to take note, right? Not just means that price break above immediately, I can actually enter into a stock. Do take note of making sure that the price can actually hold above the resistance turn support. All right, so like I've mentioned right here, it is one of the potential sell zone that we are actually looking at, because right now price is really near the 180 psychological immediate psychological resistance, right? So one thing for those of you who are thinking about entering, right, so just now I mentioned those that who are holding on to a position, this is where you can potentially take some profits, right? But for those who are thinking about entering, then where can you potentially enter? So like what I've mentioned, we want to buy near a support. If prices can break and hold, so like I said, break and hold above, not just break only, break and hold above, then this 180 will then turn from a resistance to become a support, right? And we want to buy near a support level, right? So this could be one of the levels that we are actually looking at, right? This could be one of the levels. So what we can actually do here, is to set price alert, right? To set price alert, to actually alert myself and yourself that as long as let me just put this 18183, let's just put at 183, right? Every time when price actually break or touches 183, I will be alerted, right? And I want to monitor if this stocks is able to actually hold above the 180 for a couple of days at least, before thinking about taking action, right? Before even thinking about placing an order, right, to actually have exposure in this counter, right? So right now, if prices can break and hold above this 180, potential upside target that we have drawn is to about 195, 160, right? And how did we get this? It's based off a projection right over here upwards, and this is simply how we get the next upside target, as long as 180 level is able to hold. Because if we take a look at the trend, going back to the basics, the trend or the uptrend is actually still firmly intact at this point in time. Okay, so that would be for DGX, and that will be the stock that I'm definitely still watching. So back over to Joey to close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much. Right, so these are the three bonus stocks that we like. Just a quick recap for me will be Netflix. So you can see right over here on my screen again. Well, a bullish 1 GT signals in place since April. Yes, push up May, June. We are going to July. They are still in play. Targets could be revised even higher, right? Bervyn covered Visa. So yeah, we did had a bearish signal recently, right? Came down a little bit, but the question is, what if a new 1GT signal appears and the trend starts to turn back up, all right? Could this be a good opportunity to think about getting back in again? To ride the reversal? Definitely, and that's why we are watching this stock as well. Of course, Z has covered Quest Diagnostics as well. All right, one of the stocks that I like as well. Very strong uptrend, a resistance that we're still negotiating. But if we break that resistance, target could be revised even higher. All right, so that is pretty much, we have come to the end of today's AMAS session. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you who know we have not actually got the time to cover your US stocks, my deep apologies for it, right? Hopefully you can join us in the next live session or next live US. So next Friday we'll be back to the Singapore market again. So Singapore US will be alternate in between. All right. So that is how we work, right? So hopefully we cover your stocks next Friday in the Singapore market, right? And then next Friday we'll be back to the US market, right? So yeah, I think that's it, guys. We've come to the end. All right. Thank you so much for just being here as well. We have Damien here as well. All right, thank you so much. Value gotten. Yeah, very good. So I hope all of you have got value. All right, just let me know, guys, you've got value. All right, just type a V for value. You've got value as well. Really appreciate your time over here, and we look forward to see you in the next live session. So next Friday, okay, please, a team can put the link in the chat, right? Next Friday will be the Singapore AMAS session, right? So you can click on the link, you just set a notification. So when we go live, you will be alerted as well, right? And just want to share one thing, guys, in case some of you are actually not yet a VIP client of mine in Phillip Securities. For those of you who don't know, right, as I introduced myself, right, my name is Joey, all right, top tier advisor and trader, and also a broker in Phillip Securities, right? So I'm not too sure where you're trading, but in order to buy and sell stocks, you probably need what we call a trading account, all right? So you have a trading account, great, right? You log in and buy stocks, great. But my question is that, do you get any service? Right? Do you get any service? Is anybody doing anything? All right. Is anybody sending you any ideas or videos, right, by WhatsApp? All right, whereby you can contact in a matter of seconds by WhatsApp. All right. Is anybody doing that? Or is it just a hotline, a platform you log in and nobody bother about you? You just go and buy and sell your own stock. If it's yes like that, if the service like that, then please check it out. The link is already in the chat. Find out how you can become a VIP client of mine in Phillip Securities for free, whereby we actually share some of my top ideas daily by WhatsApp for free, all right, at no additional cost. Right? It's pretty much the same as whatever you pay when you're trading, so no additional cost. Same, all right, same. And you get some service at least. All right, so the link is in the chat. Check it out. Look forward to work with you a little bit closer with my team as well, get some of our top ideas and private trainings. All right, so that's it, guys. We've come to the end. Thank you so much, Dave, Pan as well, Mess, Hi Kwa, good to see you here. Value, thank you as well, Ian, Serena, Biscuit. So thank you so much, right? We've come to the end of today's AMAS live session. We look forward to see you next Friday. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.